On this week's episode of The Insider, Rob will take a look at the Hanford City Council meeting coming up on Tuesday, and we'll also take a look at this week's community calendar, including a preview of the big Downtown Hanford Car Show being put on by the Carnegie Museum of Kings County this coming Saturday. This is the Hanford Insider for Monday, June 3rd.
Welcome to this episode of the Hanford Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Bentley. Thanks for listening. For those of you new to the show, welcome. The Hanford Insider is a weekly podcast that releases every Sunday afternoon. I cover a little bit of everything from Hanford news, a community calendar, and my son Eric, who works in sports, gives us a rundown of high school sports each week during the school year. I try to keep things light and positive in such a negative world. I hope you enjoy the format. I'm always looking for more human interest stories. A little bit more about that later in the show. I'll let you know how you can get involved. I'd like to give a shout out to Terry Brousseau, Kim Spicer, and Mickey Stoddard for supporting the show. Their recent donations to Buy Me a Coffee help me pay the cost of producing the show each week. Thanks. I really appreciate your kindness. The weather this week is going to be very warm with temperatures in the 90s to low 100s. Be sure to hydrate and get plenty of rest, especially those of you attending graduations this week. I'd like to give a special shout out to all of the students and staff at Woodrow Wilson Junior High School for inviting me to speak at their career day last Friday. It was great to visit my alma mater and share the career path of a social media content creator. Speaking of content creators, I ran into Leo Gonzalez, and he and I will be getting together soon for an interview to air here on the show. It was a great day, and I really appreciate the professionalism of the school staff during the brief lockdown due to police activity in the area. In community news, the Hanford City Council will be meeting this week on Tuesday night. Items on the agenda include a badge pinning ceremony and oath of office for the promotion of Sergeant Raymond Diaz, Sergeant Jared Cotta, Corporal Edward Aguayo, Corporal Troy Smith, and Corporal Rolando Jaime. Santiago Rodriguez is being appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission. City staff will be seeking approval to name and dedicate the Freedom Park Playground in memory of former mayor and community organizer Dan Chin. The council will receive a notice of completion for the Civic Auditorium remodel, and the building is now being booked for events. Finally, the council will interview and select one of 7 applicants to fill the vacant council seat until a new council member is chosen by the voters in the November election in Area B. The applicants are Aisha Samara Rose, Rusty Brookshire, Bernard Ramirez, Jack Schwartz Jr., Martin Devine, Nathan Odom, and Rodney Garcia. You can watch the City Council meeting in person or online at hanford.city. The City Council will meet again on June 11th to consider items related to the potential sales tax revenue measure to be put out to the voters for consideration in the November 5th election. Here are some things coming up on our community calendar. At the Thursday Night Marketplace this week, it's Dairy Appreciation Day. The band Run for Cover will be providing the entertainment. The Kings Players are presenting A Penny for Your Thoughts at the Temple Theater each weekend during the month of June. Visit kingsplayers.org for showtimes and tickets. I'll be grabbing events as I see them on the Hanford Sentinel calendar and social media pages. If you have an event coming up and you'd like some help getting the word out, let's work together. Send your information to hanfordinsider@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter to get a complete calendar of events. The 3rd Annual Carnegie Museum of Kings County Downtown Hanford Car Show is coming up on Saturday, and I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Jack Schwartz, who's the president of the Carnegie Museum of Kings County, and Mike Quinn, who is a contributor on the committee. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us. Hello.
Good. It's good to be here, and we appreciate the chance to talk about the show.
So let's get right to it. Let's talk about this year's show. Jack, what can visitors expect at this year's show on Saturday?
Well, they can expect several things. First, I expect that we will have a much larger show than last year when we had 120 cars. We will have the same number of food vendors serving everything from snow cones and hot dogs to potatoes to Asian food and anything in between. And finally, what's really exciting is in the park, we expect to have over 24 vendors who will be selling their crafts and jewelry, woodwork, and selling their goods. I'd like to make a particular shout out to Chaco Clean, who has stepped up and become a financial sponsor this year. They've always been a big supporter, and this year they've gone an extra step, and we appreciate it.
So I know that the food truck situation is not necessarily trucks, but we actually have a food court area, and it has a rather unique location. Can you tell us about the location of the food court?
Right. The food court is at the parking lot, which is just to the east of the old courthouse and Bastille. It's on the northwest corner of 8th and Doughty. It's a very intimate area, and people like to congregate there and look at the different choices of foods.
So, Mike, let's get on to the main event. Let's hear about all these cars that are coming.
Those are the stars of the show. We have so many really interesting, cool cars that people have spent a lot of time investing money and effort in making these cars really beautiful. They've built up the engines. They've put fine paint jobs on them. They've invested in the interior. It's a sight for the eyes to come down and see. And the people who have done it are always very happy to talk to the spectators who walk around to look at the cars, explain what they've done to it, what they intend to do with it, why it's a cool car. That's some of the best part of having the car show is the stories that go along with the cars.
So the cars are going to be laid out through downtown Hanford. What streets are going to be showcasing the cars this year?
The main two streets are going to be Doughty and 8th Street. So the show will be on the north end. It'll start at 9th Street and come on down south all the way down to including 8th Street. At 8th Street, it tees off and will include from in front of the old courthouse all the way down to in front of the Carnegie Museum.
So that's kind of what sets this show apart from others is just the downtown aspect of it. You cannot beat the picturesque setting of the Civic Park. And I know that we do a few things differently maybe than some other shows as far as the spacing of the cars and getting the cars in to their spots. Can you highlight some of those?
Certainly. You're 100% right about the beautiful setting, which is one of the things that when we talk to the exhibitors, they've been here before or they've heard about it and they really like downtown Hanford. What sets us apart is the way we set the cars up. We put them with a space of 15 feet between cars and we put them on a diagonal. What's nice is it allows for the owners of the cars to have a nice safe space around their cars so that way they don't have people crowding in so much when they want to see it. But it also leaves ample space for the people who come to look at the cars to see the whole car, not just the front of the car, but to look at it and see the lines. And what we found is that the people who come enjoy that and the people who are showing their cars really appreciate that.
So getting back to you, Jack, I know that there's a definite format of the day, including judging and drive-in and when the cars are actually on display, ready to go. Can you give us a general timeline of the day and maybe some of the types of cars, divisions that you'll have?
Sure. Generally, the cars are starting to come in around 8 a.m., and by 9 a.m., we're pretty much ready for the public to see the cars. Judging and awards will go on around 1 p.m., and I would expect us to wrap up by about 2:30.
So what are the categories that the cars will be judged in this year?
Well, we obviously have Best of Show, Best Hot Rod, Best Historic Cars, which are cars from before 1950, Vintage Cars from 1951 to 1975, Modern Cars from 1976 to the present. This year, we've also expanded our import categories. We have two different categories. We'll have the Best European Import Car and the Best Asian Import Car. And of course, we can't do anything without having muscle cars, sports cars, and trucks. One of the nice things, and which sets us apart in many respects, is that we also have the People's Choice category, which allows people who come down to look at the cars to vote for their favorite car.
So one of the nice things about the car show is it exposes more people to the Carnegie Museum. We're right in the thick of the cars that are on display, and we're actually having special hours from opening at 10, which we normally open at 1, but we're going to be open from 10 to 5 on that day. We had the curators of the Asian Experiences exhibit on the show a few months ago, and I hear that the exhibit is just fantastic. We've gotten some great reviews on it. Can you give us an update on how the exhibit's going?
It's going very well. In fact, we're adding new displays, including dealing with issues of why the Asians moved, particularly with respect to helping in agriculture. We have a new video on discrimination. And so we're continually evolving this part 1 of the exhibition.
So part 1 will end at the end of July, and then part 2 will open up in September. So come on out to the Carnegie Museum and see Kings County's Asian Experiences. So getting back to the car show, we're still accepting registrations both online and in person. Can you fill us in on the deadlines? Because I know this week is, we're cutting it close on the show being on Saturday. So what are some deadlines we need to be aware of?
Okay, well, until June 5th, you can register online at the CarnegieCarShow.com. If you register online by June 5th, you also get 2 tickets to the museum. We cut off online registration on June 5th because we need time to organize the cars that have registered, but we will also have a day of registration. Now, the way it works is those cars that have pre-registered will come in on 8th Street and have a quicker entrance because we already have all of their information. The people that register on the day of will come in on 9th Street, and that necessarily is slower because we need to get their information, their car information, their registration payment, and whatnot. So we really encourage folks to register online at CarnegieCarShow.com before June 5th. And if anybody has any problems registering online, they can email us at CarnegieCarShow@gmail.com. That's CarnegieCarShow@gmail.com. And Carla, who is administering the registrations, will get back in touch with whoever needs help.
So, Mike, how does the Carnegie Museum of Kings County see this as part of community, an activity that the community can be proud of, but it serves a different function with the museum as well?
Well, we've set up this car show initially as a fundraiser for the museum. We're a nonprofit organization, and we have to fund ourselves for what we do in terms of improving our facilities. So it's the opportunity for people to come down and see Hanford, enjoy downtown Hanford, but also become aware that as a museum, we're here too. And we welcome people to come to the car show and also come to the museum with our extended hours during the car show.
So by every indication, this show is going to attract thousands of people to downtown Hanford on Saturday. We're so excited. And Mike, can you tell us a little bit about the impact of this show on the community in downtown Hanford?
This will be our 5th auto event and our 3rd annual Carnegie Museum car show. This show has been supported by the car community, so we're growing, and we thank them. Our goals are also to make the show pleasant for the car owners, profitable for our vendors, an enjoyable day for the public, and to raise some needed funds for our museum. We're happy to help show off our city, too. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our event with your audience. We hope to see you in Hanford on Dowdy and 8th on Saturday, June 8th. We look forward to seeing a lot of people enjoying these great cars, and we invite and welcome people to see our wonderful museum.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Hanford Insider. If you'd like to join the Hanford Insider email list, stop by my website at hanfordinsider.com to sign up for updates. You'll also get an exclusive copy of my newsletter in your inbox each week. You can also send me feedback by voicemail through the website by clicking on the microphone icon. I'd love to hear from you. Your comments may even be shared on the show. I also need your help getting the word out about the show by liking and sharing on social media or telling a friend. For more information about the show, you can find this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and YouTube at Hanford Insider. If you have a show idea, be sure to email me at hanfordinsider@gmail.com and I'll look into it. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.